Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So today is going to be, I guess, a little bit different than normal. Um, I just got this one yesterday. Uncanny X-Men 11. I know, I'm always behind. But it's the first part one of seven, but there's actually 8 comics in this. The X-Manhunt series. His mini series. I don't know. I don't know exactly what to call it, but anyway. So I'm not going to be reading or doing a video of all the comics. Pretty much just this one because I mean, you guys know it's so hard for me to even get a hold of this one and trying to find Storm 4. That was really hard to find. So me trying to find 8 other issues or sorry, 7 other issues, I feel like that's going to be kind of impossible, especially trying to get them in some kind of order to where I can do part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anyway, so I'm not going to be doing that. So this is going to be a little bit different because normally I kind of go page by page, but basically, since all of you guys know what's happening in this, I'm going to skip over a little bit. So when we last saw Xavier, um, he at the end of the Radom Grey Malkin crossover, we saw him decide no, he needs to stay. He needs to stay there for, everyone's protection and stuff. Even though Rogue hated leaving him there and she didn't want to leave him there. Cyclops thought he should be left there. He belonged there. And Xavier was like, yeah, I need to stay here. So that's where we ended. And of course, now we know that he gets out because that's what this whole event is about. So basically, what happens is his daughter, cries out for her father to help her. So I say daughter, and it's kind of a little bit loosely because they used his genetic material and Lalander's genetic material after they were both dead to create Xandra. That's what she called herself. Because they needed someone of, Lilandris bloodline to rule the Shi'ar. So they created this clone. I mean, she's not exactly a clone because there's only one of her. Anyway, so she was artificially created. Um, I mean, anyway, we won't go into that, but and so she actually it's so random, but Rogue and Gambit, after their wedding in X-Men Gold 30, they took a honeymoon in space, because where else would you take a honeymoon? I mean, really. And Kitty called them, and she said, I need you to go get this egg back from, the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. And the egg was a Xandra. And Cersei, who was a member of the Excalibur at one point, she and Nightcrawler were really close. He was, at one point, he almost was going to leave, the priesthood for her. And then, he decided not to. But anyway, another story. So she was tasked with taking care of the egg, and then the Shi'ar Imperial Guard took it from her because they were worried about what would happen, to the egg, or what would happen if it fell into the wrong hands. But anyway, Rogue and Gambit take it from them. Everything's good. What happened? The egg hatches, and in the beginning, it turns into a younger version of Rogue, and then it absorbs the memories of Charles and Lilandra from Gambit and Rogue, and turns into Xandra, and that's what she's calling herself. After her dad and her mom combined. So, so anyway, she's in place on the throne now, and so she calls out to her dad and for help. And so that's kind of where we are. So we're in space. We're on this Shi'ar cruiser, where Xandra is, and these Shi'ar rebels who don't believe that, Xandra shouldn't rule, that she's an abomination, she's not real. They, um, take over the ship. They, call themselves the Revolution. And the only person that stands in their way is Deathbird, which I really like Deathbird as a character. I think she's a really cool character. She has a really cool look. What is weird to me is that Deathbird is now her protector, considering she has tried numerous times to kill Lilandra in order to be on the throne. So it just seems weird that all of a sudden she's like super protective, of her niece, basically. So anyway. So they're at Greymalkin. They're talking about this mysterious illness that's going through the guards. Like 6 of them called out in one day, and Philip Scurvy is still in the sick bay from when he faced off against Xavier. And this is Xavier because they have him sedated because he chose to stay. He hears this cry from Xandra saying, "See, that she needs him." And Xavier, says he hasn't always been the best. He he himself says he was a good man, but he, was not a good father. So then we are back to the New Orleans mutants, and they are doing a training session. And Ransom jokes, hey, that Wolverine's old. Does he need his walker first? Because they're gonna defend themselves against basically the older X-Men. And so the objective is simple: stay within the circle. Stay standing within the circle for 3 minutes. And so Rogue is a little bit worried though, because she feels like they're taking it more as in, hey, this is really fun, not taking it like super seriously that like they need to. And so she tells Gambit, and this is pretty funny. Death Dream's like, stop sending your balloons. I'm on base. Doesn't that count? I'm on base. You're not supposed to hurt me. Jubilee's like, you're supposed to run. And he's like, I don't understand the rules of this terrible, terrible game. So anyway, yeah. And then Wolverine jokes like, "Hey, kid, I'll show you, how much I need my walker." And this is not David's art. Like you can tell. I'm excited for him to return because I miss his art. I just fell in love with it in the first issue. So Rogue tells Gambit to take one of the kids down hard. So he does. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? What's wrong?" And Jitter's hurt and she's crying, and Nightcrawler's like, "It's okay to cry." And Jubilee's like, well, what were you guys thinking? What were you doing? And, she could have been hurt bad. And Rogue's like, I was thinking about the Sentinels, Master Mold, Mr. Sinister, Omega Red, Sabretooth, Sarah Gaunt, basically saying this isn't a game. And Jubilee's like, well, training's over for the day. Don't forget your ruby quartz visor, on the way out. Basically, saying Rogue is acting way more like Cyclops than she is herself. And Rogue even says that stung a little bit. And she even says that she feels like even the horse is judging her. Ember, which she totally is. I don't blame her. And, she says to Gambit, is there anything else you want to say? He's like, no, I just, you showed her that she wasn't ready. You actually might have saved her life. And she basically like, that helps. I'm gonna need a kiss. And her phone rings and it's Greymalkin. And we have this little cut scene where this from the prison and the wife's outside like, are you okay? I already called, to say you wouldn't be coming into work. And the guy's like, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen. It's how they get you. It's how they get into you. And he grabs his gun, goes down to eat dinner with his family. And this is how they all appear to him. Like, some kind of sentinel robot things, and he kills them all and says, "I'm sorry, I had to." So, and then Charles reaches out to Sarah and says, "Sarah, I know you can hear me." And he's like, "I need your help." And she's like, "Why would I help you? You know, I, you know." And he's like, "It's my daughter, you know, she needs my help, and therefore I need your help to get out of here." So Sarah's like, "I still hate you," but she gets him out. And he sees the X-Men have come to help him, which this is how he sees the X-Men. But really, of course, it's Wolverine, Jubilee, Gambit, Rogue, and Nightcrawler. Well, obviously, I'm sure you could tell that. And Rogue's like, we're here to help. And he's like, "Of course you are, my loyal students." And Rogue's like, "Charles, something's wrong with you. There's a tumor at the base of your skull. Like, base, yeah, a tumor at the base of your skull. And it's, eating away at your control of your powers." And Charles gets upset and he's like, "You lie. You're not my students. You're imposters." Because this is what the warden is telling them. And she said it's the same as Harvey X, the same as scurvy. It's affecting all the psychic mutants. And Charles is like, "Where are my real X-Men? You're not my real X-Men." So, he fights them, fends them off, I will say easily. He freezes Nightcrawler in mid-jump, so you can see half of him is here, half of him is there. Well, I bet that, really hurts. And Rogue, she's just struggling with this because she's the one that fought so hard to keep, to free Xavier from this place. And so now she's fighting to keep him in there because he's a danger to himself and those around him because he's losing control of his powers. So, and it shows the next page that he has taken them all out. Like, it was pretty easy for him to do. I mean, you honestly sometimes forget how powerful, Xavier is. And this panel kind of shows it. And there's Nightcrawler still in mid-jump. And, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. That seems like that's something that would scar him for quite a while. And, Xavier's like, he's like, "All that matters is rescuing my daughter. Don't worry, Empress Xandra. Daddy's coming." So the next one continues in NYX9, which, I mean, I haven't, like I said, this is the only one I've been reading. This, and I started reading Storm out of the From the Ashes series, just because, of course, Rogue is my favorite. And, yeah, there was like 13, 14 titles. I mean, I heard rumors that they're canceling some of them, but oh, that's just so many, like 13, 14 related X titles. I just, I can't keep up with all those, especially considering it takes forever just to get this one. And then for Storm, I ordered 3, and then I decided I really liked it, and I tried to find 4, and it took me like 2 months to find 4 or something, or a month or something. And then, I just, like I said, it just, since I don't have a local comic book store that actually sells new comic books, it makes it really hard to find these comics and actually get them in a decent time in a decent amount of time. So anyway, sorry, I was looking at the back. I think that's so cute. It's so fun. So anyway, next is in Uncanny X-Men 12 is the Gambit solo story, which I'm excited to read. It'll be really cool. It says there's learn details of Remy's life never before revealed. I hope they don't mess with any of Remy's like his main story. Like I was talking to one of my friends, and my one of my friends that I know online. And she was saying, well, what if it's like a kid shows up and say, hey, I'm your son, I'm your daughter. I'm like, oh, no, not after Rogan Gambit got married and they've been married for like, well, now 6 years, but really it just seems like they've just barely gotten married in the comic books. I don't want that to like come and throw this drama grenade into their lives. So I don't know. I've always said comics are like soap operas, so who knows? So anyway, I mean, I will definitely probably pick up the trade paperback of the X-Manhunt later. It's just that, like I said, it's just too hard to find all the issues now at the moment. So I can wait. I mean, I'm sure I'll hear all about it because if it's as big as they say, it's going to be hard to hide, details or avoid spoilers forever about it. So I'm sure I'll hear about it. So until next time, bye.